Hello, LAS. We are back for season 2, episode number 3 for LAS Lock-In. We are excited to get talking with you guys. We have a new guest. We have a lot to talk about. Heats number 1 and 2 are in the books. We're going to be going over standings, how things panned out, any surprises, any expectations that we had, and how they're going. But first, we want to introduce Stru from COG Plutus. He is their mid laner. How are you today? Welcome to the show.
I'm living the life, happy to be here. I gotta love all the content we got here. So thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We're super excited to have you. This has been a blast recording this show. I look forward to recording it every couple weeks, and we're gonna get into some good stuff today. So let's start by talking about Heats 1 and 2. Let's take a look at the standings right now. We'll just go right down the line and start on the Masters division. So it looks like we have a two-way tie for first, 3 and 1 for both Espionage and MNG Direwolves. Then we have in the middle of the standing sandwich, we got third place, 2 and 2, Apple Bottom Boys, Mount Tai, and Cogmall. And unfortunately, my team is sitting pretty on the bottom right now, 0 and 4, looking to get some wins this Sunday. But yeah, those are the standings right now. It's looking, pretty close except for us. But what do you guys think about this division so far?
So looking at it, I think Espionage, given their preseason showing, I think they definitely deserve at least one of the first place titles here. Direwolves being, the reigning divisional champions from last season, I think they're also very much up there. So seeing these two go head to head, I would love to see the match actually against each other. Because, it's kind of like last weekend how we had the Cloud9 TL, where it's like, who's going to be first? Who's going to be first? I definitely want to see it out of these guys here. But it's definitely well-deserved with those top two teams. And then, the other teams showing up, and then Verge Gods at the bottom. A little bit surprising, but at the same time, you definitely got to accept the fact that, Espionage and Direwolves are the ones on top, essentially.
No, I definitely think Espionage. I know we play against them in the lock-in tournament at the end. I thought they were a really solid team. I mean, they made a lot of ground. I feel like they surprised a lot of teams. Everyone had me hyped for Empire. I was like, Empire, it looks like they're going to be making it on their side. And Espionage took them down. So I'm glad to see them up top again, holding that momentum. Dire Wolves, I've heard a lot of good stuff. All my team raves about them. So obviously I'm not surprised to see them up there either. But I definitely think Espionage is the dark horse, and I feel like they're underrated in lock-in, and I feel like they're underrated still.
Yeah, so the way I see it is, for me, starting from top to bottom, Espionage, I do want to give them a lot of credit because last Grand Tourney, I believe, they did make an unfortunate early exit from Grand Tourney. But it's really good to see that they bounced back with starting with a 3 and 1 record. They have a lot of solid players. When we faced them, they had a... what was it? They had basically a kick protect the Tristana comp pretty much. Our early game was good with them against in that match, but they eventually steamrolled us, so they're definitely strong. Direwolves, no surprise there. They're a good group of guys. They're really strong. We've played them plenty of times in the past, and they are definitely deserving of that 3 and 1. Apple Bottom, yeah, they're they've been around for a while. They have a good they have the same. Mostly of the same team, or the players at least. So seeing them at 2 and 2 is not too surprising. We have our new team, Mount Tai. Good to see that they're settling in the league pretty well so far. They're also 2 and 2. Cogmall in preseason was pretty good. We did face them and they knocked us out. So props to them. And as far as my team, the Gods, 0 and 4, definitely surprising me. I'm sure it surprises a lot of other people. But yeah, it is what it is. I want to say not really figuring stuff out, but we're trying too many new things that we're not really used to. So, it's not a synergy problem. I think it's just something that we have to iron out. But
it's a pack nerf.
Yeah.
It's a pack nerf.
We have,
sure.
I think, a couple new faces. We do have a new jungler, and we're swapping stuff around, but we'll see if we can get it together.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, we're going to move on to the Legends division, and they are a little bit different than the Masters division. So, we're going to start off in first place. We have a two-way tie, just like in the Masters. We have Team RAR and the VRG Titans starting at 4 and 0, haven't picked up a loss yet. In third, we have MNG Chaos with 2 and 2. The fourth place team, Cheshire Academy Gaming, new team, by the way, so welcome. Starting at 1-3, not starting 0-4. They did snag one win. Then we have MNG Rajna Store tied with them at 1-3 as well. And unfortunately, MNG Eclipse is still looking for that first win. So what are we thinking about this? Anything shocking here? Anything surprising?
I definitely knew the MNG teams. I feel bad for them, honestly. You got three of your own teams in your same division as you. I've seen, I'm just from some of the games I've seen. I know when they did, I think it was Chaos did like a makeup game. Their bot lane played really well. I kind of watched that game for a little bit. They looked really strong. And I think it's Titans, right? Your guys' team.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely think they're a very solid team. I kind of knew going into this that I thought they were the team with the most potential. Because my team, we kind of talk about what teams are, who we looking forward to in the future if we can even make it, honestly. But we know Titans is really good. Obviously, some of my teammates have a little history with them, but I think they're all solid players. And I haven't really heard much about Roar, but I mean, I know this week you guys got a big matchup, Roar versus Titans. I'm really excited to see that one.
Yeah, so we're going to see which of them is going to drop a loss first and who can continue their undefeated spree. So as far as surprises go, I am pretty surprised to see Roar starting at 4-0. Not to say that they're a pretty good team. We've faced them in the past. They did make a solid Grand Tourney run. So I can't say that I'm too surprised at them being 4-0. I do know that they play a lot together. So, not too surprised about that. The Titans, though, I am very happy and surprised to see that they're already off to the races with 4-0. They are, of course, our new team that we made. We do have previous cashed out players, Bubblelift and Triton. So good to see that they're doing good as well. So I actually just realized that this division is literally half M&G. So it's pretty much... Yep. Battle of MNG, a Verge team, Raw, and the new team. So, it's off to pretty a lot of craziness so far.
Yeah, I hope that Shire can actually. I'm pretty sure they FF both their games last week. I definitely want to see them come back and see what they can do. I think that'll be a good mix in. I don't want to see an FF out, a team get in because of FFs. So I want to see them come back. I want to see what they can do. Because I mean, I've seen the MNG teams, like I said, I feel really bad for because they're battling each other. It's like it's
just friendly fire at that point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I do see that side of it. It's basically you're killing off your own arms and legs. Like you're all part of the same thing. But at the same time, maybe that makes it a little more fun for them because you may not be able to get all MNGs out. If you can, I mean, you want all three to get out, but at the same time, it's almost like friendly games, but competitive as well because you've probably played each other quite a bit, so
they probably have more knowledge on playing each other.
Yeah, so the games against each other are probably a little more interesting because they probably know each other's stats. But that is the Legends division. So the only difference is that this team does have two 4-0 teams, so that's pretty interesting. I do believe they play each other Sunday, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see who comes out on top of that one. Now we're going to look over at the Warriors division. Starting from first to last, we have the Power Rangers, new team, already 4-0. That's pretty crazy to see. Two-way tie for second. We have COG Plutus, of course, Stru's team, 3-1. And then Team Dope, another new team, 3-1. So a lot of good showings from the new teams that we brought in. It's really, really cool to see. We have Huskers Black. They are returning from last season, starting at 1-3, tied with Empire Gaming 1-3. Our Grand Tourney champions, starting 1-3. We'll see if they can rebound after last week. But then we have VRG Warriors, sadly starting 0-4. We have two Verge teams struggling a little bit at first, but maybe they can turn things around. So for me, I think I think this is the division with the most surprising things in it, in my opinion, being Verge Warriors being winless, and the second thing being Empire Gaming 1-3. So in terms of surprises, those are the two that stick out most to me.
I would definitely say that this is also a very defined division. When you look at the standings clearly, you do see Positive win-loss ratio on, like, literally, if you split it in half, you have 1 positive and 1 negative. So having the Warriors be the finalists from last division for their respective division when they were in Legends, a little bit surprising to see that they are 0-4, even though we gave them a little bit of a new roster. Same with Empire Gaming, though. Having them being the grand champions from last season. Having them be 1-3 is a little bit surprising, but I mean, just like the gods last season, I believe the Empire Gaming does a little trolling, but I feel like they're going to be having their foot back on the right path as soon as this next week were to kick in. But with that being said, Power Rangers, Plutus, and Team Dope are the ones defining this division, and I would not expect to see any of them drop out of playoff contention when it comes to the seeding, when it comes to, like, first, second, and third. I think these guys are going to define the division that way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I play it, so I got a little bit more background than you guys. Coming in, honestly, we expected, like, just from, like, the roster, Power Rangers to be, like, pretty strong. Honestly, it's so hard to, like, value what teams are where. Power Rangers is probably, like, we valued them around, like, third or fourth. It's a pretty tight division. We value Dope a lot higher. We thought Dope was, like, a very, very, very solid team because, like, we play against them lock-in, very solid team. And then the Empire and Huskers and Warriors, those three, I feel like these best of ones kind of they're kind of like a learning curve as well. So I hope to see Empire make a shootout, like, because, like, right now they're tied for, like, fourth at 1-3. I definitely want to see them shoot up. I know they have a big matchup this week against Huskers, I believe, and that will kind of determine who takes that step up. And I mean, it's another big step up this week for my guys. We got by far the hardest week we could have. We have Power Rangers and Dope this week. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, we have a pretty major, like, hopefully we can take a 2-0, obviously, but obviously 1-1 is very, very nicing as well, as long as we can take out Dope. Because, I mean, honestly, the biggest surprise to me is Power Rangers. I did not expect them to be that. They're an early game powerhouse, and I think that's kind of a recipe for success, especially in, like, these kinds of, like, best of ones and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to new teams joining the league, even with us when we joined season 2, we ended up being undefeated for our division too. So, like, it's the dark horses that are making their prowl into these different divisions. So it's good to see that they're on top, and I believe you guys can definitely put some sort of smackdown on these guys. But at the same time, you never know. We gotta definitely see how this next Sunday pans out.
We've done a lot more, like, I wouldn't say like we were underprepared, but last heat Strangle was out for a week, so we had no practice with Strangle till the day of. Until like Sunday, he got back, like late Saturday night. We couldn't even clash, so literally we tried our best to get games in and be like, all right, well, hopefully we're something good. And then Empire, we lost game 1, and then going into Empire, they kind of just like there's like a thorn in your side, like you want to end the game, but it's like every time you kept going, it's like, oh god, it's getting worse. So definitely. We're looking forward to everything, and I want to see how this division shapes up, obviously, because I'm in it, and I want to see, because like I said, I think one of the teams, I think Warriors, Empire, and Huskers, like, one of those teams is going to step up. Who knows who, but one of them is going to step up and go, like, surging through the end, and they can make their shot at third. I would like to see that, because I think Empire, they're the champions, obviously. Like, they want to come back and they want to prove to everyone why they're the champions. So this division's really fun. I think we originally were in Masters, and they moved us to Warriors. So I really like the new lineup.
Yeah, I think Warriors division debatably is the most entertaining, but we just got to see how this all pans out.
Oh, yeah. I still think Legends to me is kind of the most entertaining. I just like the MNG battle.
Yeah, right.
I still love
MNG
that
cage match.
Yeah, this is the only division without an MNG team, which is interesting.
Yeah.
The way I see this team is there's the top 3 and then there's the bottom 3. So obviously only 4 teams can move it out. So being that 4th place is currently a tie with then Warriors behind them, it's almost like the top 3 aren't locked in. They're in a really good spot. So it's almost like the bottom 3 are fighting for the last 4th spot. And it's super early on, which is crazy to say because there are 5 heats, a total of 10 games. So every season that we have, that's 5 heats and 10 games. It's super crucial. Every game matters. Of course, even if the heats were longer, it would matter. But this is like super, super important. So like every win matters so much. I think that this division is going to be basically the fight for fourth. And if the top 3 can remain at the top 3, if the gap can widen even more, then that narrative is going to pan out even more easily. So that's the
Absolutely.
way I see it.
I mean, if this division keeps going, like if we just like flip the records again, like and everything stays the same for the second half, obviously it's going to be like a really tight one. We don't really expect that. We don't expect this division to be like top 3 heavy. Honestly, I'm very surprised by Warriors dropping 4, but the thing is, they still have 6 more games left to prove so much, and if they win one game on Sunday, guess what? If they win game 1, oh wow, we're tied. Like we're tied for 4th, and you beat another team. So this entire division is pretty wide open. I think placements could be this week is very crucial because obviously you're going into the midway point and beyond. So I'm excited to see how everything shapes out.
Yeah, so
For
those are the current standings. Obviously, Heat 3 does pick up again this Sunday. We had a break last Sunday, but we are back this Sunday. So what I want to do now is maybe take a look at the game results from Masters, Legends, and Warriors to see if there's like a trend in each division. Like if each division has like a meta. Something that we talked about in the past is, do divisions have their own meta? And in a way, they kind of do. There's never 2 divisions that play the same way. There's always a little bit of discrepancy with the teams that are in each division. So maybe we can start in Masters division and see if there's a trend of maybe popular picks or comps that teams like to run and how good they do. So, Pac, do you have any games you want to maybe look at first?
Yeah, let's see here. So let's take Apple Bottom Boys versus Mount Tai.
Okay.
I think it was very interesting how they incorporated a Nasus, which is like for the first time in like a while that I've seen an LAS game have at least a Nasus or some sort of stacking top laner besides Yorick. They also did try the Karma mid, which was successful. It went 2-1-11 versus Mount Tai. And then Rav on his signature Sejuani, and then the bot lane running the Ezreal Leona. So it was a very tanky, very protective, like run it down, decane, de-legend kind of comp. So I really like how they drafted with this one. But on the other side of Mount Tai, they had Talia Jungle, which is a first of what I've seen within this league. And then the return of Akali mid, which was pretty good. It didn't do too bad. It was 3, 2, and 4. But honestly, I think Apple Bottom Boys had a very good draft versus these guys, and it obviously panned out to be in their favor, with Nasus being 13, 4, and 7 with almost 300 farm. So that's very, very big.
Yeah, it does look like that game was quite interesting. The one interesting pick for me is the Karma mid. Now, we've seen that in the past, but LAS-wise, I don't think that we see that too often, or at least have seen that. What's crazy to me is that it's almost like, so it was a supportive Karma build that it seems. So basically, face value looking at this game, Nasus basically took over, Rav played solid, and then Waffen on Ezreal just kept shooting him with Qs and just sniping him down. So did seem like Apple Bottom Boys won that pretty favorably. I do think that the Jhin Nautilus pick for the other team is a solid lane because it's basically just CC City. I mean, everything that Nautilus does is CC, even his auto attacks are CC. And from there, if Jhin can land a W, then you pretty much just 100 to 0 them. And they do have, the Talia jungle and then the Urgot. So as far as comps go, I do like each of them, but to see Apple Bottom Boys win that convincingly with a very fed Nasus and a very fed Ezreal, even a very fed Sejuani. I mean, she got 4 kills and 1 death. So, I do like the looks of this game.
Yeah, I think there's another game as well where it's Espionage versus Apple Bottom Boys. They once again they did the Nasus to Ezreal, so it looks like they have a pretty big emphasis on the Ezreal. and the Nasus. But they also, speaking about espionage, I mean, they pull out a Renata. I think that's something our team's been experimenting with. We definitely don't feel comfortable yet, so mad props to them for being able to pull that out, because I haven't seen it much in our division, and I believe I've seen it in another team actually in that division, but I can't be too certain where it was. But I'm very, like, I think honestly the Nasus, I mean, they did it against Kog'Maw as well. They did another Nasus.
So that's 3 Nasus games then.
Yeah, so they're pretty
Oh
heavy
wow,
on
they're
the
just cranking
Nasus.
it out.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
3. That's almost all their games. That's played 4, and that's 3 out of the 4. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and they banned the Ezreal and the Sejuani away from Apple Bottom Boys too. So I mean, obviously the trend for them is, Nasus Ezreal's their power. I mean, they still won when that was banned, the Ezreal, but I'm intrigued by the Nasus. I think it's definitely a risky maneuver, but if you can pull it off, I mean, hey, that's good for them.
Yeah, they seem to have found the recipe for success, at least in their division and their games. So we're going to be taking more of a look on that as the days goes by. But let's take a look at the Legends Division games and see if they're coming up with any kind of meta for their own. So if anyone want to pick out a game that they put in there, I know there's a couple FFs in there, but we can point out maybe that a more convincing game and then maybe a not so convincing game if you guys want.
I think the one game that I did talk about earlier was a Chaos versus Eclipse game. I think that Chaos drafted Leona Philios, which I think is really good, and I don't see many AD carries actually playing the Philios, I mean, especially into that bad matchup versus Caitlyn. I mean, he had the lead, so obviously they're very, very, good with that. And it seems like, and honestly, another thing here, Chaos versus Roar, they locked Ivern jungle, so it seems like Chaos. I feel like those are champions that are hard to pull off in competitive, and I'm glad to see that they're actually practice on it and they're pulling it out. Unfortunately, they did lose that Ivern game, but I mean, even they saw Zig Zerath bot too, so that's another. They like to do some experimentation, and it seems to work for them sometimes.
Yeah, what did you think of this game, Pac?
This is the Chaos Eclipse or the one with Ivern?
The one with Ivern.
Ivern. I'm looking at the comp right now. So wow. Their bot lane had a very interesting comp going the double AP. It's very poke heavy, so it's definitely going to be a lane for Jhin to get bullied in. And it looks like it did not work, right? Because Rar is yeah, Rar had the
Chaos this game. Yeah.
Oh, so they had the poke against MNG. That's right. Okay, so I guess it must have just stuck out in the late game because Yasuo seems to be pretty fed. No 10 death power spike on him, but he did have the 337 CS to define him at 37 minutes, which is pretty solid, I would say. Ziggs also had the push carry, which was very good. First strike on both the bot laners, so this is really just to shut Gemini down and make sure that they have super dominance within this lane. So it must have worked in the sense that they waited for late game to roll around and have Yasuo roam around with Fiora or vice versa, and trying to get some sort of pick off to at least shut down Gimgoon, who is also extremely fed on the 16-4 and 3 Aurelia. So I guess the fourth death must have just defined the game at that point, and they were able to just shut it out. So big props to them on that team comp. It's very interesting what they drafted, but I see where Chaos was coming from with their team comp. It looks very well executed, but it must have just been a late game diff at that point. But
yeah,
I think honestly it might have been a split push diff. Honestly, like you have Fiora, Yasuo, and Silence with or even like Ziggs. I mean, Ziggs can just destroy your tower.
Yeah, it's a 1-3-1 kind of situation at that point.
So it seems like that's a pretty interesting comp. I mean, you just siege it down with poke, and then Ziggs autos it once for like half its HP, and then throws a W, and you get a free tower. So definitely, looking at the stat line, it's pretty. I'm impressed with them taking.
I had to double look at this because they're behind 11 kills, and kills aren't everything. But when you look at it and you cover the victory screen, you're like, oh, Chaos won. And that was not the case.
Yeah.
A 16-4 Aurelia without boots, sold boots, so full items, and Gemini and Jin popping off quite a bit with assists like everywhere. The Ivern 18 assists, the Alistar 16 assists. So it's crazy to me to see that they lost that game. I mean, it's Hullbreaker on Fiora. So I really wish I saw the VOD for this, or if this was streamed or something, because that is crazy to see that they actually won that.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like definitely a very late game macro team comp for sure.
So that's basically the gist of what kind of games we can expect from the Legends division. So now, without further ado, let's look at the Warriors games. Let's take a look through their games results and see if there's any interesting picks that people are working on. What do we want to hone in on here?
I know one thing for sure. I think Power Rangers has a lot of emphasis on like Annie. They do a lot of Annie games, and I think actually after week 1, Empire actually picked up Annie as well in Heat 2. So I've seen a lot of Annie mid, which is an interesting pickup. Honestly, I didn't see that one coming. So, and I believe another pick that I've seen here and there is Pyke. Pyke's been sprinkled in. So it seems like, there's a few like sprinkles of picks that you can see.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really interesting to see that kind of stuff too. Like, you have to be pretty confident in your Pyke to just pull it out. So
yeah, that was the game that they played against you, it seems.
Yep.
So they had, let's see.
He played that really well.
Gwen top with Ghost TP. Oh wow. Okay.
And I think Power Rangers does as well.
Diana avoided death as well as the Caitlyn. So,
I know Power Rangers likes to play like they do Annie and Malzahar. Like those are like those are their two strongest picks that like we noticed. And I mean, obviously, if there's a good Annie player, and obviously no one likes playing against Malzahar because the unfun button,
the press and click checking out for 3 seconds kind of deal.
Oh yeah, I mean, at least like it's really weird because, like I said, I've seen some teams that are like pretty committed to like pretty standard comps. Another game that I noticed is Power Rangers versus Dope. If you look at that, Dope played a hardcore poke comp. I mean, you got Jace, you got Cork, you got Sivir, but you're doing the poke Sivir build as well. So seeing stuff like that as well, that's another interesting adaptation. Poking is very hard. I mean, obviously against Malzahar and Alistar, it's hard to do that.
Yeah, so those are that's what all these divisions are looking like. Some teams have their power picks. We have noticed in the past that some teams just like to stick with something, like you said, like Power Rangers with the Annie and Malzahar. Sometimes in the past, you'll see that players have played maybe 6 out of the 10 games the same champ, and then 4 all different champs. So it's almost like they ride the wave for the comfort picks, and then if it's banned, then they go with something else. So it's kind of interesting. So we're gonna have to see how that pans out. But so we're gonna switch into the little interview question portion that I had prepped for you. So we're gonna throw some questions at you. First one being, how did you discover the LAS, and what do you think of it so far?
I discovered LAS probably a few years ago, actually.
A few years ago.
Yeah,
so probably when it was made then. Probably.
Yeah, probably. I was around pretty early. I took a massive break from competitive for a while. Joined up here with COG Plutus, and I talked to Panzer I think like a year ago as well, but like maybe joining an MNG team. So I've been around the LS for a while, and I do enjoy it. It's a very I like how it's organized. I think the point system that was recently changed.
Yeah, the point system is new this season. Yep.
Yeah. So I definitely really enjoy it. I feel like it makes teams really think about oh yeah, it's a gold plat league, so then every team's gonna load up on plat 1 players. This league is well, you can't load up because you got points, and then on top of it, you're required to play those 5 games. So you can't really just AFK for a few months and then win this for free and then go play ranked. So I like how it seems like it's very like they don't want to like LS doesn't want like these like powerhouse teams to just take over. So I really like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and speaking of that, that actually brought up a very good point about the ranked games. Quick rule update. Beep, doot, 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 doot. Quick rule update. So this is going to be about the checkpoints. So that bringing that up, we are going to talk about the checkpoints that are coming up. So if you haven't noticed, checkpoint 2 begins this Saturday. So just like he said, 5 additional ranked games must be played if you do wish to be eligible or still be eligible on your roster. So you need an additional of 5 ranked games up until now, until Saturday, to stay eligible on your roster. And then at the week after that, you're going to need, or no, then it goes by 2 heats. So every checkpoint is 2 heats. So since checkpoint 1 is 1 and 2, heats 1 and 2, you're going to need the 5 for this Saturday. And then 2 weeks from then, you're going to need another 5. So keep up to date on the website. Keep looking at the checkpoints to make sure you're getting in the games. It's 5 ranked games. You can get that done, and most people can get that done in one day, nice and easy. So quick update for people that didn't know that.
Yep, and that's March 19th for
Yes,
people wondering.
correct.
March 19th.
So question 2 I have for you is a pretty simple one. When did you start playing League?
I think it was probably about 2015. Just got like my first PC and got dragged in by some. It was like, hey, this is a free game. Everyone loves it. And hopped in and just kind of went from there. Basically played every role. Was an old Warwick main. And here I am now.
Old Warwick. That's
Oh, yeah.
surprising. I don't think I've
Yeah.
really heard that in a while because like that was when his ult was like the point and click, like blink in the silence and like running at him and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly like how he's more of a skill shot now, and like you could just see fucking
Yeah.
Bronze Kids just go, just like Predator over the fucking walls and
yeah.
shit. But yeah, that was a fun Warwick. I think it was like a little bit underrated at the time, but that's pretty cool that you mained him. I don't really think I've heard of like old Warwick mains.
I played some interesting champs. My first like mid lane main was like old Akali. That was
Old Akali, I fucking
Yeah.
love
Oh
old
gosh.
Yeah.
Old Akali.
yeah. So I played some pretty unique champions when I first started. I definitely wasn't I had no idea what a meta was. I was like, yeah, this champion's cool. Let's play it.
There you go. That's the spirit. Question number 3. What is it like playing for cashed out Fludus?
It's a lot of work.
A lot of work. Okay.
Yeah, we do a lot. We're 4 to 5 times a week. We're together playing games. There's a lot of Cash. Obviously, was a part of the league last season. He wants us to. There's constant improvement. Like, we're not just gonna like. He doesn't want us to stagnate.
So you're saying Cash, the captain, Cash?
Yeah. He's our coach now.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So he obviously has something to prove. As like he couldn't get done as a player. Now he's back again as a coach. He wants that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he
Sounds
definitely
like someone I know.
he kind of sets the table for us though. Like he gets us prepared. And he throws us for a whirl. Like we had like a playstyle we're really good at, and he's like, all right, yeah, no, we're done practicing that for now. We're learning this style now. So
Yeah, there you
I was
go.
not gonna expose what we do.
Yeah, of course
But-
not. We're not looking for confidentiality. That's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say no bullet holes in the leak.
But it is cool to see that you guys practice a lot. I mean, 3-1 so far, so clearly that shows. A lot of practice a week. That's good. So it does seem like you guys are all on the right page, and it's good to see teams like that. And the final question I have for you is about Team Liquid. Clearly, you're a Team Liquid fan, so I wanted to know what you thought of this year's Super Team.
Oh, I was a big fan. I'm a huge Bjergsen fan. That's kind of who I shaped my game around. Obviously, I'm nowhere near Bjergsen's skill level, but I like to, that's how I learned certain champions. How I watched so much. So seeing Bjergsen, like he was like the last one to join TL. So like from what I knew, he was like C9 or TL. Those were like the only 2 options.
Right.
And then the C9 announced Fudge. And I was like, okay, well, this is pretty safe. Bjergsen's going there. And then the Bwipo announcement came out. The Hansama announcement
It just
came out.
snowballed into more and more excitement.
And Yeah, I mean, obviously, getting a guy like Blippo, I love his play style. I love his coin flippiness in the top lane.
Coin
The thing is,
flippiness.
It's honestly, yeah, I agree with
I
that.
love that. That's a good way to
but
put it.
he comes to NA and it's not a coin flip anymore. He just like demolishes everybody. I mean, Santorin, I was hoping, like, I love Santorin, former TSM fan, so obviously like Santorin. Would have much rather seen like go like full out on this super team and just pick up like Spica. I was really hoping for that, but I'm hoping for Spica
Wow,
next year to
okay.
TL, because he's a free agent after this year. But
Right,
and then
right.
Han Sama, I love Han Sama. I've loved Han Sama for years. So
I've
just seeing it
followed
come
him
to
for a long
NA.
time. Misfits on Sama was
Oh yeah.
insane. Even
That was
even Rogue.
that was my favorite addition to TL this year. Like I love Bjergsen just as much as the next person, but like Han Sama, I'm such like an 80 carry fan because Reckless is my favorite player. Once he moved to the French league, I was like, all right, fuck me.
All right.
But like Han Sama is like the next iteration of like god tier 80s. So I'm super happy he came to NA.
And then seeing him team up with Core JJ obviously is another
Super nuts.
And the fact that we were waiting on I'll give you I won't go too much into detail, but a brief history lesson. I don't know if you guys follow Twitter stuff, but Coach I believe Dodo it is. So the green card situation with Core JJ was actually, I mean, probably a lot more serious than people thought. So basically, Korea has this thing where they have the mandatory military. Players like Khan, players like Rush, they all had to do that, and that was almost going to not force him to retire, but he could have, if he didn't get his green card in time and he had to go to military training, that could have potentially been the last that we see of Core JJ. And I found that out a week or so ago, and it's crazy to think that. It's almost like he just made it, and who knows for how long he's going to be playing for, but just the thought of waiting on something that'll guarantee your residency here and not have to go to military is crazy to me, because he said word for word he almost retired if that happened, which is crazy because everybody wanted to see the super team happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like hate to Ayla either. That guy.
Oh yeah, he's good too. I don't know if you
but
did you see? So Core JJ in an interview said it stinks that I can't play against the second best support in the league. Did you hear him say that?
Yeah.
So he's basically saying I'm the best and I can't even play the second best because he's on my team.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a bunch of funny stuff too. Like they did like these like Reddit like Q&A, and like Core JJ was like flaming people like all the time. Like I love Core.
Core is great.
He's hysterical. I think someone asked him about like how was your match against like TSM or something, and he's like, "Come on, you know it was easy."
Yeah.
Dude, he's great, man. I love it. He and the stuff he does for like the practicing scene as well, like as a whole.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Like there is the thing about the Players Association. So he is, I think he is a part of that, but the work he has put in to make the scene better is just really, really cool. It's so nice to have a player like that want to make NA as good as it could be, and it's it's cool to see. I'm glad they have him.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love what he did with the in-houses, especially last season. Like he would like limit how many pros could be on a team, so you have these like other not as big time players as like all these pro players. So like there'll be like 3 academy with like 2 pros, and I feel like that really grows. And obviously he came here to NA and he's had a pretty big impact on like the growth of the region. I feel like the region's getting better. My honest take is EU is not the best like they're probably dropped to the worst in my opinion. I watch a lot of competitive and I'm a big Chovy fan as well.
Chovy.
Yeah,
the good old TSM Chovy rumors. I love seeing that. Like, guys, come on, stop.
Oh, TSM Chovy.
Stop reaching out. That was a rumor.
awesome.
I'm like, as crazy as that would be, I'm like, guys, come on. You really think Chovy is gonna join NA and join TSM? Like, nah, that's.
Don't worry though. As T1's just gonna win it all. I mean, if you guys have seen them, they're like 15-0 or something, and
16. Yeah, now they're 16.
16. Oh, jeez. Yeah, they're disgusting. And I mean, obviously seeing Faker at this stage of his career.
Yeah, you love
gotta
to
love
see
that
it.
too.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to be wrapping up episode 3. Boy, what a good discussion we had. We want to thank Stru for joining us today. We had a lot of fun talking with you. So thanks for giving
Thanks,
us your
man.
time.
Thanks
It's a
for
pleasure
having
to
me,
have
guys.
you. For anyone watching, we're back. Heat number 3 kicks off this Sunday. That is March 20th. The first game starts at 8:30 EST. Game 6, the second game is going to be 9:30 EST. So be there for that. We're going to be back. But of course, we want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget your +5 rank game before this Saturday. And we will see you in episode 4 and see you on Sunday. See you later.
Peace.